Welcome to This Week in Crazy America. We sure have some insane stories for you this week. We have an honest cocaine find, the one-eyed protest icon, a feline tragedy in Idaho, and the California cannibal. Now, folks, before I get into the stories, I would ask you to take a minute to push the subscribe button below and sign up for these weekly updates and also the videos and news updates that we send out throughout the week to keep you informed of everything that's going on across crazy America. So, this week, as we all know, the country continued to be convulsed by a once-in-a-generation civil unrest. Now, we would never make light of these momentous events at crazy America, and we know that they're impacting so many lives. There are so many different views on what's happening, and let's face it, in many ways, it's not clear what's happening yet, and may not be for some time until the smoke has cleared. But we continued our chronicle of craziness all the same. And so this week, we've got an interesting selection for you. So we start with something away from the protests, something down in the Rio Grande Valley in Texas, near the Mexican border. Now, that area is going to be braced for an influx of bidders in its next round of used car auctions. And why is that, I hear you asking? Well, this week it emerged that a recent car buyer in one of those used car auctions found nearly $1 million worth of cocaine hidden in the little jalopy that he'd picked up in the sale. So he handed over that money, and it was found when he alerted the cops. And what's interesting is that police praised the man's honesty. They said, wow, this was a very responsible citizen. They did add that he was in a particularly elated and cooperative mood when he called them. And in fact, one source said that he appeared to have the sniffles. What do you make of that? Anyway, we'll see when all those buyers start piling in very soon to the next round of auctions. We'll see what happens. Now, at the beginning of the week, going now to the protests, and something which we can't ignore here, even at Crazy America. At the beginning of the week, we marveled at the bravery and the fortitude of one of the young people engaged in an earnest and peaceful protest about the violent death of George Floyd. So that man was Paul Balian Brake, a 21-year-old student at Indiana Tech, and he had his eye put out by a tear gas canister that was fired at him from close range. It was a pretty horrific incident. But the most incredible thing was this guy lost an eye, but this lion-hearted social justice warrior still had the spirit to say, talking to the press from his hospital bed the next day, that it was a small price to pay in the bigger fight for justice. And so whatever your views on the protest, we thought you have to admire this guy's resilience, and let's face it, his pure balls in doing that. Away from the protests again, for animal lovers, there was an horrific case. It was a truly horrific case uncovered in Idaho. A woman's home was found by animal protection officers to have around 150 cats living inside it. It's quite hard when you think about that to get your head around it, isn't it? 150 cats. Where would they all be? Well, tragically, it turned out that over 90 of those felines were deceased. So this really was a shocking episode of neglect, and it will no doubt be punished. The cat lady, as we would call her here, is a woman named Jeanette R. Elliott. She was, as you would hope, she was arrested and charged by the officers, and she'll soon be facing her day of reckoning. That's for sure. Meanwhile, another tragedy, this time a human one, unfolded in Missouri, where two young brothers died while riding in their grandmother's car. This really is a heart-wrenching case. It saw the two boys, aged just 6 and 7 years old. Somehow, they managed to jump into their granny's car with the keys still in it, start it up, and take off in the car down the highway. Absolutely horrible. And horrifically, the vehicle soon crashed just a short distance down the road, and I think it overturned into a ditch, and it burst into flames. So at time of doing this video and of reporting, there have not been any more details on the family. Those have not been released. But there is an investigation underway into how on earth those boys came to get access to the car. It's just a horrible case. And thoughts and prayers are obviously with that family. So while Granny was at fault in Missouri, or may well have been, as we'll find out in the investigation, over in California, another granny, another grandma, was the victim this time, the victim of something unspeakably horrific. Dwayne Wallach, a 37-year-old gentleman in California, otherwise known as, or dubbed now and forever as the Californian Cannibal. Mr. Wallach was caught by police, and there's no way to sugarcoat this, caught by police in the act of eating, you heard right, eating his own grandmother. The 90-year-old woman was sadly pronounced dead at the scene. Police are still searching for a motive for such barbarism. Of course, they may never find one. This is truly horrible. But we'll stay on top of the story and bring you more details as they emerge. So finally this week, in New Jersey, a woman was returned in a very high-profile case. She was returned to New Jersey from Texas to face the music after allegedly she battered her much younger wife to death with a wine chiller. Now, we know that too many libations can set off powerful pent-up emotions. Sometimes you want to sit down with your partner for a nice glass of Chardonnay at the end of a tough work day, and we've all probably been piling in more than usual to the wine and other drinks during COVID-19. But of course, when you have a drink, sometimes that can set off those powerful pent-up emotions. And so rather than relaxing you, it doesn't. And that's clearly what happened here. So as we understand the story, in this case, we've heard that the older spouse, the woman who's pushing 50 years of age, she may have just freaked out somehow over that glass of wine when sitting with her much younger 30-something wife, as that wife tried to end the marriage. So police believe that may well have been the motive. And so the older woman picked up a wine chiller and chillingly, if we can put it that way, battered her wife, her spouse, to death. So she's been charged. She's now in New Jersey. We'll stay right on this sorry domestic tale and bring you any updates as they come. So that's all we've got for you this week, folks. As ever, stay safe, stay healthy in these crazy times, and we'll see you same time, same place next week. Bye for now.
Well, we used to know that damn